Before we get into some of our study and some of the other things that we're going to be diving into, actually, Sarah, do you mind handing me that handheld mic as well? I want to let you guys in on something that's been a conversation going on for about a month and a half between Kris Reed and myself. And it's something we started before things started going south with my mom, and so we kind of had it on hesitancy, but I also wanted to make sure that we stayed on top of it because I knew God was putting some things on Kris's heart to the point that one of the things I love about Kris is sometimes when she's out and about, she sees my car here, she'll stop in, not just to say hi, but she just wants to sit in the gathering room and worship a little bit, pray for a little bit. And I remember one day coming in for a couple hours, I think, and asked for some paper and pen, and she was writing some things down the guys were putting on her heart. So she's been shaping something for some time. And she sent it to me, and I said, I would really like you to share that, if you would. And she's agreed to share that with us. And then there's also leading to something else coming up in a couple of weeks, but I won't get into that until you come up and talk, because Kris loves being in front of people talking. Yeah. And I mean, there's just, it's not like there's thousands of people here. It's just
just on Facebook.
Just a few friends. So don't worry about Facebook Live, but if you come right about here, that should be good. You want this?
Hi. Okay. How many times have you heard the saying, "God won't give you more than you can handle"? Just twice, Mike? Just twice? Okay. Several times, right? Yeah. Have you ever used it? Have you ever said it to somebody else? Me too. Is anybody aware that it's not a biblical statement? It's actually far from it. Got my cheat sheet. Some may think in 1 Corinthians 10 it's mentioned because verse 13 states, "No temptation has seized you except what is common to man. And God is faithful, He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it." Honestly, I understand where people are coming from. It certainly sounds like that's what it's saying. However, to get a better feel for the text, let's back up to verse 6. And we covered that in a Sunday school class here to see something in context. Sometimes you have to back up to what comes before it. So, verse 6, "Now these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. Do not be idolaters, as some of them were. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in pagan revelry. We should not commit sexual immorality, as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 of them died. We should not test the Lord, as some of them did and were killed by snakes. And do not grumble, as some of them did and were killed by the destroying angel. These things happened to them as warnings for us, on whom the fulfillment of the ages has come. So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you do not fall." Then verse 13, "No temptation has seized you, except what is common to man. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it."
I love when somebody with late parts keeps throwing stuff in the gun.
Well,
I don't want these.
I am graceful.
You are. That's what your ballet teacher says.
So my interpretation on this, and you can agree or not as the Spirit leads, we should be careful not to give in to temptations such as idolatry, immorality, testing God, complaining about God, or we may find our end in life. And even if we think we are strong enough, chances are we aren't. But verse 13 gives us hope that even in our temptations, God will always provide a way out. Not that we won't have problems we can't handle, but we won't have temptations that we can't escape from. When saying God won't give you more than you can handle, the speaker is implying that life dishes out trials in a fair way. We all know that's not accurate. Who's ever said life's not fair? Everyone at some time is struck with suffering. It may start slowly, or it may hit us with a force so strong it could challenge Category 5 things. But in none of the circumstances are we asked ahead of time, are you ready? In truth, there's never a good time, and we're never ready. God's not sitting up there on his throne going, let's see if Jane can handle money problems, or if Joe can deal with an illness. The words, God won't give you more than you can handle, put the focus on ourselves instead of on our Lord. It causes us to reflect inward instead of Godward. In truth, everyone deals with it. Anybody who has an illness, mental or physical, that requires regular medication or counseling, or both, guilty, have to receive outside help because they can't handle things on their own. People in any of the 12-step programs, AA, NA, etc., have found that the first step is admitting that they have a problem they need help dealing with. And sadly, those people who have ended their own lives early had more than they could handle. In these circumstances, we won't get more than we can handle. They could actually be making us feel worse. Not on purpose, of course. I'm guilty of it. All I meant to do was give my friend a boost and remind them that they are strong and can get through their issue. However, when I have been on the receiving end of the statement, I started thinking that if that's true, what's wrong with me? Why can't I handle this? Which of course made me feel worse, because now on top of the problem I was dealing with, I'm also dealing with being a failure, or feeling like it. But God doesn't give us these issues. He never intended for us to go through hard times at all. He wanted our lives to be perfect and Eden, with perfect relationship with Him. Enter stage right. Katie, stage right or stage right?
You're funny.
Free will. Which sounds great until we have to deal with the repercussions of our or others people's choices. A little bit. Other people's choices. Then we can be found in a fetal position in a corner begging God to make everything feel better. Or for those of you familiar with the undo button in a computer program, I've done this. Please God, let me hit the undo button until I back up all the way. Yeah, I love that button. Jesus is not behind the cafeteria window, wearing a hair and beard net and an apron that says WWJD, with a big old spoon, being a mystery illness on your tray next to your watery finances with a side of mashed self-esteem and reminding you to drink your milk.
That's a big
It is, however, biblically stated that we will have more than we can handle. For example, Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 1, 8 through 10, "We do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about hardships we've suffered in the province of Asia. We are under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure, so that we despaired even. Indeed, in our hearts we have felt the sentence of death. But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God who raises the dead. He has delivered us from such a deadly peril, and He will deliver us. On Him we have set our hope, and He will continue to deliver us." Here Paul is sharing that his trial was so profound that he thought he might die. Maybe he even briefly hoped that he would, so that it would be over. He was dealing with more than we could handle. And is this the same Paul that was best friends with Jesus? But he tells us the one thing that got him through was his faith in God. That by relying on God, God delivered him through, and with faith, God can deliver us through anything. He does not cause any of these circumstances, but through our faith in Him and with His help, we will be made stronger. 2 Corinthians 12, 9 through 10 tells us, "But He said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, For my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. In weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, I am strong. In his online article on this topic, Pastor Colin Mattoon of Cleveland suggests, instead of saying, God won't give you more than you can handle, we say instead, God will give you all the grace you need in every situation you face. I personally prefer verse 10 where it says, for when I am weak, I am strong. Because it helps me focus on the knowledge that when I am weak in myself, I need to be strong in Christ. Whatever way we do it, we need to focus on the fact that no matter how hard things get in our lives, God's grace and love are always with us and will see us through it. Not to ourselves, but to God be the glory. He will never leave us. He will hold us up and be with us through everything. We just need to lean on His strength, let Him guide us through, and know that we will become stronger and will persevere, and that in the future we may be able to help others and guide them to lean more on God and less on themselves. Our problems may not seem fleeting to us right now, but when made eternity with our Father, this really is just a drop in the bucket. Let us remember, it's not God won't give you more than you can handle, but God will help you handle all that you've been given.
Amen.